are recording, and we are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this, is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8:02. We're running a little late this morning. We were having some technical issues with our operating system here, but we have, God willing, we've got it sorted out. So, with that being said, it is 43 degrees out right now. We're going to have a high of 61 today, so it's going to be nice. It was windy this morning, though. It doesn't appear to be super windy out right now. Like, the camera's not shaking, nor do I see any of the trees blowing very hard. But, man, it was windy and cold this morning when we were out for our run. So, light jacket weather for the majority of the day, maybe even in the afternoon. I mean, hopefully the wind dies. And like I said, it doesn't appear to be blowing too bad right now. Oh, well, actually, I look over there at the pine trees over by the Y. They're blowing pretty good. So maybe it is blowing a little decently out there. So you might keep that jacket on all day or just have that light jacket available when you're walking around outside. So with that being said, traffic conditions really aren't that bad. They were standstill like 5-10 minutes ago, but it's flowing pretty decently into Tulsa now as we speak. So your commute into Tulsa is looking pretty decent if you're on the road now or if you haven't quite left yet. Now, we have one retraction to make. Bounce Owasso's not a daycare. It's more of an event center. So we're just going to make that correction right now and here so there's no confusions about that. So as far as upcoming events goes, there's still the Donuts and Dignitaries coming up, and that is Friday. And that was at from 8 to 9, right, Chad? Donuts and Dignitaries?
That's Friday.
Friday,
yes,
8 to
that's
9.
Friday, yes.
What today is tonight, the popcorn and...
no, today's the ambassador meeting.
Ambassador meeting, roger that. So,
yeah.
Good deal. So, ambassador meeting today, and what time is that ambassador meeting?
Let me double check. I don't have that pulled up at the moment since we were having technical issues. Let me give you 1 second. And
yeah, absolutely.
I will pull that up really fast. Let me see here.
But yeah, again, Donuts and Dignitaries is going to be on Friday, and like I said, that's where you can meet the elected town officials. So, I mean, potentially the mayor and anybody who's appointed by election, and maybe even unelected officials, people who the mayor and are appointed to, the deep state people who are appointed.
All right, here's what I've got. Today, for the ambassador meeting, if you're wanting to be an ambassador, which you have to be like brought in by somebody and introduced and all that, so you have to kind of know one of the ambassadors, or, probably just, Chelsea from the Chamber of Commerce as well could bring you in.
I see, it's an elite club.
Something like that. But it is at 12 p.m. today. And that is at, that's where it was last time, the Ascension St. John Owasso. And there's a little conference room in there that, you get taken into. So, again, you have to be brought in by another ambassador member to join in on this.
Interesting. So, yeah, go find out who some ambassadors are for Owasso Chamber of Commerce and see if they can't get you in if you want to be involved in the Chamber of Commerce. It's definitely worth your time. Like I said, go rub elbows with some major players here in the city. So, check that out. Now,
then there's Donut and Dignitaries is Friday, and that's from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Friday, and that's at the City Hall
9
in Owasso.
9 a.m. to 10, okay.
And for people who don't know where that is, that's 200 South Main Street.
200 South Main Street.
And that's about it.
Excellent. So in more national news, we have a couple of things we're going to talk about. So right now, one of the big threats or fears that the government is stoking is Russian space nukes. So this was always a huge fear since Sputnik was launched in the 60s, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So
don't ask me when Sputnik was launched. I couldn't tell you that.
We landed on the moon in 69, right? Or something. I can't remember.
My space history is very...
Yeah.
That's why I didn't join Space Force.
Yeah, so, our NASA history is not super... But yeah, we've been worried about the Russian space nukes since Sputnik, and it just seems so comical now. Like, we were watching the Timcast earlier today, and that's the point. Like, nukes are 100-year-old technology now. At least 80-year-old technology. And if we were going to put nukes in space, it'd already be done.
No.
And arguably, there's far scarier technology out there than nukes. The hydrogen bomb is worse than the nuclear bomb.
Yes. And speaking, it's the plot of a bad Clint Eastwood movie. That's
Yeah,
Space
Space Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Space
Yeah.
Cowboys, yeah. So if we were going to put nukes into space, I think we would have already done it. But like I said, we shouldn't be worried about nukes. There are supersonic missiles and things like that. Far more, what was it? Rail guns and stuff now. So
Absolutely.
there's far scarier technology out there than just nuclear bombs. So what are we worried about? I mean, we're just so...
And
there's cultural zeitgeist around nukes. It's just the world's going to end, if we do it.
And not to delve into too crazy of a rabbit hole here, but remember when we saw those lasers, that strange laser show, like outside Hawaii?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's off the coast of Hawaii, and then not even like a few months later, the whole like fire thing happens, and everyone's like, it's like, and you notice how all these buildings with these blue roofs or these blue cars didn't get burned up. So
Yeah. So
if we're diving into the extremely
if you want to go into
a
conspiratorial, like I say, conspiratorial. We know this laser technology exists. It exists. We know it exists. Now, what they're saying is, has the government here's the conspiracy. They want to make Maui the first smart island, and the quickest way to do that is to destroy the stuff on the island that's not already smart technology. So they're saying that the government launched its laser, used those laser beams to start fires in Maui in order to get rid of the non-smart stuff so they can rebuild it as smart technology homes and make it the first smart island for all the rich and elite. Now, whether or not you 100% believe that or not is up to you. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, and there's definitely some truth to it, but there could be no truth to it at all. In my opinion, I don't trust folks, and like I said, what it could have been is, the laser could have been launched and it could have been an accident.
Yeah, that's just the conspiracy
That's
theory
the conspiracy,
around
because all the major celebrities and rich people have these blue roofs on their house, these blue metal roofs, which are allegedly immune to these space lasers or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the conspiracy theory, if you guys buy into that kind of nonsense. But there's definitely some truth because we know the technology exists. So that part is true. The technology exists. Now, whether or not that was weaponized against Maui in order to get rid of some of the population as well as the buildings there, that's your call. So if you buy into that, go for it. If you don't, if you trust the government 100%, trust the government 100%. But with that being said, the other big news was the Kansas City Chiefs parade, they're having their parade or city celebration, and then there was a shooting that happened there. And notice it's not really being talked about too much in the news. I've only seen videos shot from phones, and I've seen the footage of. So there was a disturbance at this event, and a bunch of regular people, civilians, went above and beyond and tackled these guys with these guns and prevented people from dying, essentially. Now, like I said, have been some injuries and casualties, but a lot of that is believed to be. I'm not saying there's so little known about this event right now. We're just reporting and telling you what some of the information is. So, a lot of the injuries are from panic, are from people who were running and probably got trampled and things like that. So that's the thing. Herd mentality. Like, if you hear gunshots, the best thing to do is just drop. You don't just start taking off and running, because that's how people get trampled and killed and caught up in these situations. So, as of right now, there was several people injured, I think 22. But like I said, they're not gun wounds, allegedly. A lot of it's just people running over people, physical injuries like that. Now, the reason the media is not reporting on it is because
it seems like it was gang violence.
It was gang violence.
It was a gang shooting.
The gang violence is not attractive to the media because they want to sell a gun control narrative. And gang violence, when it comes to certain demographics of people, and when it comes to specifically gang violence, they don't want to report that stuff because it's not sexy. It's not the stuff, a school shooter. It's like, oh, we can weaponize this narrative and turn it against guns and say this is all guns' fault. And then they love it when it's particularly a white person because they can just say this is indicative of racism in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what's crazy is, like I said, again, these were gang-related folks, so they were African-American guys. Is what the three guys that they have in custody that are the alleged shooters are the three African-Americans. They have a bunch of people in custody, but like I said, as of right now, the three primary suspects were African-American. Now, the previous shooters we've had in the last couple of months have been what? Transgender shooters. We have an epidemic of transgender shooters right now. So, like I said, this is a mental health crisis for...
Well, and specifically also shooting up Christian churches.
Yeah, that last one, the last girl that was a trans man. And we're having dumb conversations about her because they're like, is she a man or is she a woman? We don't know. It's like, what? This is why the transgender issue is so silly. Because we just need to be like, whatever they were assigned at birth is what they need to be. And like I said, assigned. You're either male or female, and you can have the identity of trans, but you are what you are. Period. Like, we don't need to be fuddling this on police reports. When they dig up that person's bone 1,000 years from now, they're going to be like, oh, wow, this was a human female. So that's what's so dumb about this whole thing. Like, we don't need to be confusing. Be like, it's a trans woman. So you're sitting there going, oh, wait, does that mean she was a dude? Or, you know what I mean? Like, we don't need to be thinking that way. You just be like, yeah, it was a woman who identified as a dude.
Well,
so
at this point, all we need to worry about is this person's a criminal or a killer.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. They're just a bad person to say the perpetrator at this point.
Yeah, the perp. So, I don't know. It's just the destruction of the English language. It's the destruction of our culture. And we have to understand that these trans folks, like I said, their suicides rates stay the same after their transition, and they're clearly already mentally unstable, and them transitioning and not being accepted for who they are because people don't want to get with them because they're not what they want to be. They're not going to have happy lives, period. Mm-hmm. Unless they can accept reality and be like, I'm a dude. I'm not a chick. You know, you can be an effeminate dude and probably still find a girl who's into effeminate dudes, maybe. But
yeah,
I said,
just coming from a biological or, even in some cases a Christian perspective here, the point of getting with someone is to procreate and carry on your lineage. So, like, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot doing something like that. And because in the long run, you're not going to have the happiness of having your own family.
Yeah. But yeah.
And that is, like I said, whether everyone wants to take it this way or not, that's the sad, harsh reality. Is like children will bring you joy to your life. Mm-hmm. Said, and anyone who thinks otherwise I think is crazy. But
yeah,
I'm sure there's a select few group of people, the Bill Maher types that are like,
children are the worst, are a plague. You know, too many people is a plague. So that's the issue. So the media is not reporting appropriately on this stuff. Like, if we lived in a fair world with a fair media, they would report like all the gang shootings, but they don't because it doesn't fit the narrative of we're trying to pass gun control legislation. Like I said, so these guys who were at the Kansas City game, they were probably just gang members. And it was probably what it seems like it was just beef amongst themselves. And guns were pulled out, and then people, just random citizens who were brave and didn't want to see anybody harmed, just tackled these dudes and put them down. I didn't say not put them down. I mean, they put them on the ground and waited for the police to show up, and thank goodness they did that. So those guys are heroes. But the narrative in the media, I mean, it's not even being reported. They're not even talking about it. And like I said, the stuff with these transgender shooters, boy, how quickly that goes out of the news cycle. Like, don't get me wrong. A lot of times they put out in the mainstream media, another school shooting, we have a gun problem. And then it comes out that they're trans, and then boom, it's out of the zeitgeist. It's out of the news. Why? Because the news and the liberal media, that we love transgenderism, so we love transgender people. We just want to be tolerant and acceptant. If people were more tolerant and acceptant, then guess what? This wouldn't happen because we could have just all live and let love. It's like this. All these Christians are, judging these people. It's like, look, nobody has to accept you for who you are. You have to prove your worth in society. You have to, like, you don't get to be like, I'm a good person. No, we decide collectively whether or not you're a good person. Said the worst thing that happens to you is the media decides whether or not you're a good person, and they, if you don't have the right political views, they can destroy you. But as far as that goes, nobody has to accept you for who you are. Nobody has to, if you're a bad person, you're a bad person. People don't want to associate with you. They don't want to associate with you. And that's the problem with these trans folks is if you can't accept yourself for who you are, why should other people accept you for who you are? And they fall in these rabbit holes and they get groomed online because you get all these Reddit sub posts and all these weirdos on these threads going, or in these YouTube videos being like, I came out as trans. Like, oh, there's so much love in this comment section. It's like, yeah, because you're in a bubble of people who agree with you. It's like, that's not good. Same with these girls who do OnlyFans and stuff like that. They get in these little bubbles and they go, oh, you do you, girl, make your bag. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're literally hurting your future prospects, your future chances at happiness and long-term love. Sure, there'll be some guys that'll come along and be like, I think it's cool. And then literally it'll wear on them after a couple of months or a couple of years, and they'll be like, you can't do that anymore. And then he's insecure. Then he's a bad person. Same with, it's the same transgender you are. You have to be a good person. You have to be comfortable with who you are and yourself. So if you can't, you can, like, and what I'm saying too is you can change yourself for the better. But like I said, chopping off body parts isn't the answer, is what I'm saying. You can go to the gym, get stronger, work out, take protein, clean up your diet, and become a more attractive person. Physically, mentally, emotionally, that's what you need to do. You don't need to be looking for acceptance in strange social groups.
Especially things that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and
medical bills and stuff like that. I mean, the whole thing is like you will be a permanent medical patient for the rest of your life if you do any of these surgeries, and that's one thing that they don't tell you.
Yeah,
you literally be in and out of the hospital.
That Jazz Jennings kid who's like was the first and most famous transgender YouTube star or whatever. Like he or she, whatever he is anymore, is upset because he doesn't like going and getting his gynoplasty thing where they literally rip him back open so he can keep his female. Because like I said, your body's trying to seal that wound up because it's a wound if you're a dude and you try to get a lady parts. If it's like your body's like, oh, that's not supposed to be there. The skin's going to heal. It's going to heal together because it's not supposed to be there because it knows it's not supposed to be there. Your body knows. Can't trick your body. It's the same thing when they donate. You get somebody else's organ or somebody else's blood. Your body sometimes will reject it, even if you're the same blood type. It's like your body's like, foreign object, go away. So I know we went off on a kind of an odd, awkward kind of tangent today, folks, but just some weird stuff happened in the world. And
something that really wouldn't have been an issue back when we were kids.
5 years ago, this wouldn't have been an issue, but it has been thrown, and like I said, everyone's like, you just need to accept people. It's like, this is being thrown in our face overnight. Like we went from gays weren't allowed to be married to gays are allowed to be married. Now there's women can be men can be women, to children should be allowed to go to drag shows because it's kid friendly. What are we doing? I mean, this is cultural decay at its finest. Or excuse me, at its worst. So we need to bring some good old Christian ethics and morals back in and return to my brothers in Christ. We need to return to Christ. So that's what I would say. I think the answer is, and like I said, that not these woke Christian churches either. Like, holy cow, like you got all these people going, oh, you can be whatever you want to be and God will accept you. It's like,
love is love. Sweet. But you've ever talked to anybody that's ever been married for more than 10 years, like, love is more than just love. Like I said, it's work,
it's commitment, it's work, love is not for the faint of heart. And it's not just if I don't feel good. And that's a big problem now. We live in this culture and society where if it's not working for me, it's not working for anybody. Mm-hmm. It's like, sometimes you just got things. People change over time, and you just need to continue to grow together.
Yep. Let's wrap it up then.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about all we've got. I know we went on a really long tangent today, so I apologize for that, everyone. But with that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Be safe out there. Drive safe to work. Enjoy your time with friends and family. This is the Twins with the Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. God bless y'all.